What is interpreting? It is important that the difference between interpreting and translating be clearly understood. In translating, the thoughts and words of the speaker are presented verbatim. In interpreting, the interpreter may depart from the exact words of the speaker to paraphrase, define, and explain what the speaker is saying. Interpreting requires adjustment of the presentation to the English level of the audience and their ability to understand English. The interpreter needs to be aware of the differences in the use of interpreting and translating. When translating, the interpreter is recognizing that the deaf person is an English skilled individual who prefers to have his thoughts and those of hearing persons expressed verbatim. Translating is not commonly used, as many English users frequently do not need the services of an interpreter unless they are in situations where misunderstanding might arise, which could result in financial or personal loss. For deaf people who have been in the educational setting, who might have difficulty with the common idioms of English language, it may be necessary to do some explaining in the interpreting process. For many deaf people, it is necessary to paraphrase, define, and explain a speaker's words in terms and concepts which they can understand. This is called interpreting. The lower the English skill, the greater the need for simplification of the presentation. An interpreter must know when to interpret and when to translate. And he can only know this when he has learned to recognize the type of deaf persons with whom he is dealing. An interpreter should have proficiency in manual communication. However, it is recognized that such proficiency does not automatically qualify an individual as an interpreter. Expert users of the language of signs frequently need additional training to become interpreters. Not only must they be skilled at communicating the oral spoken words of an individual to a deaf person, but they must be able to understand the manual communication usage of a deaf person and interpret the ideas into spoken words for a hearing person. We call this sign to voice. There are many classes in the United States for the teaching of manual communication. Although some instructors in these classes hope to try to prepare their students to become interpreters for deaf people, at the time of this paper, no formal systematic training for interpreters was yet developed. Expert interpreters need experience as well